We ready? Yes. All right, good afternoon. Meteorologist Evan Chigbera here in the ABC 3340 Storm Center here, and we're keeping an eye on a storm that has very, very quickly intensified. We've got a couple reports of some gusty winds, but this is a tornado warning, a rare June tornado warning. The weather has been bizarre in June, to say the least, and that continues here today. So you can take a look here. This is up near Baileyton, north of Holly Pond. You can see where those greens and those reds touch. That is winds going in different directions relative to the radar. When you see that, those Christmas colors, you don't want to see that except around Christmas time. So our greatest circulation is right in here. I'm looking at National Weather Service. There's at least some really strong winds with this. So our circulation would be right in here, smack over Brooklyn. This is headed towards the Roswell area. Like I said, if nothing else, we have the potential for some really, really strong gusty winds with this line. This arose very, very quickly here within the last about 10 minutes or so. I'm checking here. It looks like pretty big hail potential with this as well, and a couple strong wind reports just to the northeast of Cullman, which would be with this storm right here. And considerable damage is possible. The National Weather Service, when they see a storm that has the potential for considerable damage, they will issue a severe thunderstorm warning, or in this case, a tornado warning with that particular underlying statement here. So we're watching this. I'm going to go back to the reflectivity here to show you the storm I'm talking about. And here we are looking. This is the Birmingham radar. I'm going to clear off that circle there. And this is not going to be a classic signature hook. We don't have that set up here today. What we have aloft, we do have some strong winds in the mid to upper levels, but these, if we see any more additional developments as far as tornadic activity today, it's going to be very, very isolated. I think this is certainly an anomaly in and of itself. But you see these bright pinks and these returns. These are really, really dense areas within the thunderstorm, within the cloud, up high. This is where hail resides. This is where lots of water resides. And when you have all of that come to the ground, you get really, really strong winds. And in some cases, these storms can actually develop their own rotation within an updraft, and that's, I think, what we've seen here. So back to the storm relative velocity here. And again, if you looked at just the map that I showed you, you couldn't really pick this out. It's not a classic signature, but if you're in, this is Cullman County. Again, if you're south of Baileyton, this is pretty much past you. Brooklyn, this is coming towards Roswell. Birdie, let's see, 231 is the biggest thoroughfare here, right near the town of Strawberry. This north to south highway 231, this will likely cross over within the next 15 to 20 minutes. Let's put a loop on this to give you guys an idea of the motion of these storms. I'll do the last just 15 minutes, as these have been very I mean, you could see that just within the last couple of scans, it has spun up very briefly. So again, no confirmation that there's anything on the ground at this point. What we do know is, based on the returns there, that reflectivity returns, and this looking at the wind direction, that velocity towards and away from the radar, we do have rotation within this storm. And we are looking at, again, a tornado warning. This will go, I'm going to pause this again, and this one will go until 4:15. All right, so that latest scan, now it looks very, very messy. You see there's not necessarily a defined area where you see that gate to gate, basically the bright greens and the bright reds. Again, I mentioned you want to see those colors Christmas. You don't want to ever see them on the radar, because it usually means bad things are coming. So that looks much better to me. With that said, I want to go back out wide here, because they have yet to extend this. The National Weather Service takes over once this gets into the Blount County area. So we'll see if they extend it. Right now, they've got a severe thunderstorm warning on it, which tells me what they're seeing at the National Weather Service office is, all right, this storm still has the potential to be strong, but it's not going to carry with it that tornadic threat as it moves into Blount County. Areas like Sneed, Blountsville, Cleveland, Aniana, Highland Lake, all in that polygon. Again, severe thunderstorm warning polygon, not tornado warning polygon. So let's go back out now to the bigger picture here. For those of you who were watching the game, I believe it's airing on our channel right now. Again, apologize. The last thing I'd want to do is come and interrupt anything happening on a Sunday, but I just wanted to, make you aware. If you're to the west of I-65, there's a couple pop-ups there, Walker as well as Marion County, nothing severe. It's just this one lone storm here. If you look at the state, these thunderstorms are going to be focused primarily in areas east of I-65 as we head through the next couple of hours this evening. And so we'll be want to be on guard for that. As for severe thunderstorm watches, we do have severe thunderstorm watches in place for much of northeast Alabama. You can see that pink area. Those are severe thunderstorm watch, and that goes until 7 p.m. It includes Walker, Marion, Cullman, Jefferson, Shelby, Talladega, Clay, Cleburne, as well as Randolph counties. Then you also have Blount County, St. Clair, Etowah, Cherokee, Calhoun, and Etowah counties. So this goes again until 7 o'clock, and the reason we are on the air right now is because of this tornado warning. So I'm going to switch back over to our reflectivity product here. We're going to zoom back into this storm here in Cullman. And if you're just now joining us, good afternoon. Hope you're having a lovely and very hot Sunday. It's been incredibly hot. I know it's summer, but can we slow down maybe on that? Also, something we should slow down on is tornadoes in June. Nobody needs any of that. So here's what you need to do if you're tuning in watching us. If you're in northern Cullman County here, the Roswell area, Holly Pond, you're included in this polygon. This goes for another, I believe, 12, 13 minutes. They may let this go, though. Here is what the point in question. So there's New Harmony. There's Roswell. Brooklyn to Baileyton, that's the area where it looks like we're seeing a very broad area of rotation. And I mentioned earlier, there's sometimes with these storms, you'll get these strong updrafts, and a lot of times these will be on storm-created rotation. You'll have updrafts, you'll have the actual downdraft with the storm as that rain and the hail comes down, and you'll get these brief spin-ups. So if you're in the Simcoe area, you're clear. County line, you're clear. North Walter and Walter, you're well to the west of where this is going to pass through. Again, this is a focused area right along, let's see, this is Alabama Highway 67. There's a Highway 278. So this is actually coming up on the, if you're familiar with the intersection of 278 and 431, this will pass pretty close to that general vicinity. There's a town of Summit here. That is also in the path. Let's do a little storm track here and see if we can give you an idea of where we're going here over the next little while. So zoom this out a little bit. And again, let's go Birdie at 416, Rock Springs at 416, Brooksville at 422, Bright Star at 428, and if this holds together, Nixon Chapel at 431. Again, I have no doubt this will still be a thunderstorm by then, but if it is actually going to carry with it that tornadic threat, I'd be very surprised at that. So let's clear that out. And once again, show you this is a tornado warning for Cullman County. If we zoom out a little bit more, you can see this is Blount County, just to the south and east of the current polygon, and they've gone ahead, the National Weather Service in Birmingham, and extended a severe thunderstorm warning for areas like Brooksville, Blue Springs, Blountsville, Royal, Sneed, Hood's Crossroads, Cleveland, Walnut Grove, and that will go, let's see, that goes until 5 o'clock. So that's for the next about 55 minutes here as this cluster of thunderstorms moves on through. Go back to the reflectivity data here, and once again, if you were looking at this, even as a meteorologist myself, I look at this and you don't see a classic signature with this. This isn't a classic severe weather setup. This is one of those storms that really amplified, intensified over a short period of time and has had a couple scans where it has looked impressive. I'm going to check and see if there's been any reports here or what Birmingham is saying about this. But yes, it looks like they're going to continue watching this storm as it comes into Blount County. Again, the tornado warning goes until 4:15 for areas in Cullman County, including Baileyton, Holly Pond, as well as Walter. This is actually about to cross over the county line into Blount County and will likely carry with it at least a gusty wind threat, folks. If you've walked outside today, that energy you feel, that almost oppressive feeling to the air, that is like fuel. And these storms, as they come through here, that's the match. They enter in this very, very energy-rich environment, And the sky's the limit, literally, with some of these cloud tops going, 40,000 feet up in the atmosphere. And you have to imagine, with all that energy going into the cloud, these are able to build very, very high. You get these hail cores, and occasionally you'll get these really, really strong downbursts of wind. And in this case, we've had a little bit of rotation. So we got a new scan in. Let's take a look at it now. And again, this is not very concerning for me looking at this. Again, a couple scans ago, this was a little bit more concerning as far as the tightness of that rotation that was up there in a little bit closer to Baileyton. In fact, I'll go back just a couple of scans to show you just the difference that we're seeing now versus when this was warned on just a few minutes ago. So there you see the green and the red right there, a little bit closer together, a little bit more defined, and that's what ended up warning on this. And there's kind of how it popped up initially, just to the south of County Line, Enon, Gold Ridge. I mean, this kind of came out of the blue and showed a couple of scans of it being fairly impressive, and has now looked like it's lost that rotation. But still some intense winds with this coming up on Roswell. So heads up there. Let's go into this deep once again to New Harmony. You're right on this, so you should be in your safe place for the time being. Summit, again, these areas out ahead, you're about to feel this. It's probably overcast there. Might be a cold breeze coming down. That's usually how you know these storms are, knocking on the door. But once again, here's the 231 stretch here. That's where Summit is. And then you also have Highway 278 where Brooksville, if you're headed to the west towards Bertie, you've got this intersection of 278 and 231. That's probably the bigger intersection that this is headed towards. There's another new scan, and once again, very broad rotation with this, but probably still some gusty winds. We're going to stick with this until they let this expire or they cancel it, just to give folks here in the Blount County area a heads up. So if you live in and around Summit, this is looks like Alabama State Highway 79. This looks like it's headed right towards you as well. So if nothing else, I mean, you've got really gusty winds. You have the potential for some hail. So far, what I've seen is pea-size hail, for the most part, reported here this afternoon. That doesn't necessarily mean we can't have something bigger, but that is certainly what I've seen. Let's go in here and see what sort of wind speeds we could be looking at. And again, this is from a good ways away. We're using the Birmingham radar here, but you have winds going away at one speed, winds coming towards at another, and that sort of rotation is what has caused this warning. But it looks like if you are in these areas, I'm going to sound the all clear because we like to do this. If you're in the Brooklyn area, you're good. Baileyton, you're good. Birdsong, good. Holly Pond, you're also in the clear. New Harmony, Roswell, I know New Harmony, you're just to the north of the best part of the circulation, but you should still stay in your safe place. That warning polygon is still flashing. This is coming right over, it looks like County Road 1742. Headed towards County Road 67, and eventually, as I mentioned, this is Highway 231, so no doubt, a busier area, a busier thoroughfare. You don't necessarily want to be out and about with these anyway. If you've ever been around a storm that has a kind of a microburst or downburst, boy, that'll sweep you right across the road here. So again, tornado warning goes for the next couple of minutes here. I'm going to switch over to the reflectivity to show, and this is probably no longer a tornadic cell. It is probably one that, as you can see here, you see these pinks. This is really, really dense up within the clouds. So you've got a lot of matter. Look at the DBZ returns, 60s, 65. All that's telling me is there is a lot of mass up in that cloud. It could be a hail core, it could be a ton of rain, but when that comes down, you think about that, all of that mass in the upper parts of the cloud, when that comes down, that's got a weight to it. That all comes rushing to the surface. It can create winds of 65 plus miles an hour, which is the primary threat as we go through the day today. So again, a severe thunderstorm with a tornado potential is moving out of Cullman and into Blount County. That is what has got us on the air here this afternoon. And if you're just joining us, good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Evan Chigvera, and certainly did not want to have to be on here for a tornado warning on a day like this. It's been a loud afternoon, though. If you've had these thunderstorms, you've known about it because there's a lot of lightning. There's been hail with these as well. This storm in particular is now crossing out of Cullman County and into Blount County. So we'll be watching this here closely. I'm not seeing any damage reports for the time being. Huntsville continued the tornado warning just 3 minutes ago. Once again, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. And again, that was back when it was over the Holly Pond area. Based off of what I'm seeing on our radar here, which again, understandably is a little ways away, The concerning circulation is now right over Roswell. So if you're in the Roswell area, you need to still be in your safe place while we wait for this storm to pass. This has been one of the kind of finicky. It's flared up, it's gone away. Flared up, gone away. Regardless, looks like there's at least still some strong winds with this. And if nothing else, some incredibly heavy rain, and not to mention the lightning. Look at the lightning strikes. I'm zoomed into street level here where you can't see a huge part of the county, and there are 97 lightning strikes within this scan over the last 10 minutes. And a lot of times lightning is an indicator that a storm is strengthening or weakening. If we see these trends go up, meaning the lightning counts go up, storm can be intensifying. When we see those lightning counts go down, a lot of times that means the storm has bottomed out. And for the time being, it looks like this storm holding strong here. So this is now crossing over State Route 67. This is right over, say, Roswell, and then you go to the south here, Birdie 278. So the center of this, actually, let me draw like right where the center of this is. I'm going to switch colors so you guys can see a little bit better what I'm drawing here. But it's right about here. So it's fairly broad. But, you know, that's the middle, right where you're seeing this, the green and the red. Hip Road, Darton Walker Road, and then at U.S. State, obviously that's 231 it's coming up on. So this storm has had a history of some good rotation with it, albeit it was very, very fleeting. But we take that seriously this time of year. And the going concern here today is with gusty winds and with hail. It's not to say that we can't have a warning of some other kind, as we've clearly seen here. We've got this storm that has brought us on the air, and this is moving into the Blount County area. Let me zoom out just for a minute. If you're just now tuning in and you're like, what on earth is this guy doing here? I'll show you. This storm is moving out of Cullman County. This is a messy radar. Excuse me. There's a lot of polygons on here. Essentially, most of northeastern Alabama is in some sort of a polygon. They're all overlapping. But for this cluster of storms that is currently descending from the northwest towards the southeast. So this is now coming up on Summit, Brooksville, Blue Springs, Bluntsville. You're right smack dab in the middle of all of this. And this warning is going to go for another 2 minutes, the tornado warning that is. But there's Aniana to give you an idea. There's Sneed, Walnut Grove, Cleveland. I'm going to put this back in motion for the last 30 minutes to show you where this is headed. This is descending to the south and east. So this will get upon you pretty quickly. These storms go at 45, 50 miles an hour, and it looks like what we essentially had here. We had two cells merge. And sometimes that can disrupt. That can sometimes help the rotation within a thunderstorm, or it can kill it. Hopefully, in this case, it weakens that overall rotation. But this is moving off to the southeast fairly quickly, and we're going to watch it as it moves through into Blount County. So it looks like the circulation has broadened, which is really good news. And it's now moving out of Cullman County. They're going to allow that to expire here in just about 1 minute. And then we will see if anything else is done with this as it moves further to the south. So we'll stay on this for another minute or so. I'm going to put this back into the velocity mode. I'm going to stop the loop here so you can see. Once again, we're watching for these areas in extreme northwestern Blount County, extreme eastern Cullman County. Although I got to say, it looks like the worst of this is out of the Cullman County area. If you're in Roswell, boy, you're right underneath it. I wouldn't be surprised if there's at least maybe some pea-sized hail with this. Incredibly heavy rain, and as I mentioned, look at the lightning strikes, 123 in the last 10 minutes. So these are noisy storms, to say the least. But very broad rotation with this. It looks like it's wound down a little bit in that sense as far as any sort of rotation. But again, this afternoon is going to be one of those afternoons where we got to keep an eye out. If you have outdoor plans, I know growing up it was baseball in the summertime. Whether it was All-Stars, you had Summer League, whatever it was, and if you're out there, good app to have, the 3340 app. But it actually will tell you when lightning's nearby. You'll be out doing things. I've been out in the yard before, and all of a sudden, boom. Lightning's been detected within 5 miles. It's time to go inside. So these will come upon you quickly, have ways to know about them. They've canceled that tornado warning here. So for the time being, I just want to give one more little recap of what's happening, and then we're going to let you guys get back to your Sunday afternoon here. So there's a look at the big picture. There is that cluster of thunderstorms in northeast Alabama. These are going to continue to move in a general southeasterly direction. I'm going to put this over an hour loop so this makes sense to you if you're watching at home. There are severe thunderstorm warnings, everywhere from central Blount County through Etowah, Calhoun, Cherokee counties, And as this line descends to the south, it will likely continue to prompt warnings. We'll keep an eye on some of this stuff that's back here now in Walker County potentially coming into Jefferson County. This would be to watch for the greater Birmingham area. But this is round one. We could potentially have 2 rounds. I think another round's possible later on tonight after 8 p.m. That would be more the western half of the state. So we're going to have more on this coming up on the news at 5 o'clock. Again, we're going to let this one go now because they've canceled that tornado warning, so that is good news. But if we need to, between now and the start of the 5 o'clock show in about 45 minutes, we will certainly come to update you. Have ways to be notified here today, and everyone be safe. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you at 5 o'clock.